Oh man, I'm so mad. I didn't think that this whole Jess Robinson quitting the game thing was gonna blow up, chat. I really thought, what's it called? You say that every, yeah. Well, this time I meant it because I wasn't. Again, I really wasn't going to stream to at all. So that's why I was like, all right, I'm just gonna give him like 2 hours. I was like, I'm gonna watch the Jess Robinson video, watch Jib's ban list, and then peace out. I really did not expect this to take off. So I really thought I could put I timed the market poorly. Because when I think about a lot of the videos that I've made recently, chat, I made the video about the dude getting arrested at locals. Nobody talked about that. I made the video about the Yugi tuber getting kicked out of locals in Japan because he couldn't speak Japanese. Nobody talked about that. The no allows thing. Nobody talked about that. Like, most of the things that I talk about, chat, like, I don't know. No one talks about them. I just find like obscure. Paul talked about that. I try to find obscure things that are happening in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, or the freaking girl, chat. The girl who went the Yu-Gi-Oh event and left because the players stunk so badly. No one talked about that. You know what I mean? You're not MBT. I am MBT. I'm just black MBT. Like all these videos, chat, that I've been making over like the last 2-3 months, I feel like they're like free real estate. Like I kind of have dominion over them because nobody talks about them. Everybody's just doing their own little master duel thing or whatever they're doing, and like this was the one time where like, damn, the whole community decided to talk about this. So, you know, I think you're exactly the opposite of MBT in almost every way. I know, right? If you know MBT, you know CapG is like, actually we're kind of like polar opposites. You know what I mean? You know, like we can get along, but we're diametrically opposed in like every way.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and
what's Joseph talking about?
Been a bad week for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, so we should probably talk about this Jess video, right? In a video uploaded earlier today, Jessica Robinson, a professional player from EU, revealed that she is stepping...
MBT says earlier today, chat. That means he started working on this video, I don't want to say immediately. I should have did that. I think it's a little disrespectful to put your video out the same day that she has her videos. Like, yo, you know, give people some time, but I should have probably did that. So, did he get a heads up that it's coming? Well, I mean, he has more connections than I do. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think she told anyone. But anyways,
been a bad week for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, so we should probably talk about this Jess video, right? In a video uploaded earlier today, Jessica Robinson, a professional player from EU, revealed that she is stepping away indefinitely from competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! This comes on the coattails of at least a dozen professional players online, either through YouTube or Twitter, announcing that they're taking a hiatus for one reason or another. The reasons that Jessica describes in her video shouldn't be particularly shocking to anyone who takes the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game seriously. They're the same reasons the pros have been echoing for the past couple of years, the same reasons why we keep getting this perennial news cycle of people feeling frustrated and burnt out on the game, and they're the same reasons that Konami seems completely willing to ignore. Obviously, Jess's decision to step away from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is her own decision, and I don't want to project any insecurities from the crowd upon her, but I think it's worth interrogating some of these larger reasons that keep cropping up and the mechanisms by which Konami could resolve them.
Because they're shifting.
And also, I mean, why I have no idea why they haven't. Like, that maybe is a question as well that should be answered. So let's begin with a little bit about Jess. Frequently, these Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying videos are easy to ignore. They come from individuals who picked up the game last week and were frustrated by how complicated it was. This is a pretty realistic perspective for new players, but it's important to recognize that it's not what's happening in this video. She has a ton of really impressive finishes over a ton of different years, and she's been in a ton of promotional material for the game, period. She's invested. This isn't some rando talking about...
That was something I also I thought about, chat. I didn't talk about it in my video, but that is interesting. If you really think about it, chat, Konami has, I don't want to say spent a lot of money, but they have really pushed this one player. Like, you can see Jessica Robinson on the EU channel in Duel Links videos that were like completely invitational, Master Duel invitational championships. Like, they really they really pushed her specifically. I would argue maybe more than any European player, to be honest. And to have that one person be like, yeah, I'm quitting. I'd be pissed, chat. I'd be, because I used clips. I went to the EU channel because I used clips of her video. Actually, the B-roll footage for my video chat is pretty much entirely Jessica Robinson. And like, I think I used the one duel from like the NAWCQ, but it's almost all, what's it called? It's almost all Jessica Robinson. But there's it shows like they put a lot of effort. I don't know if there were any worlds. Actually, I think there were. I could have thrown that in there, but I was like, fuck that. So, anyways.
About how Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gone woke because you can play as lesbian VTubers. This is one of the game's best, clearly elucidating a really specific picture of why she's stepping away. So let's talk about the reasons. Firstly, Konami treats its top players really badly. So Farfa, you can just turn off the video right now, but I want to draw a specific analog between Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering. In Magic the Gathering, household names are absolutely everywhere. The individuals you might be following on Twitter, you might be subscribed to on YouTube, who are crushing leagues and you're excited to see play on a main stage. Community figures are front and center in a lot of WotC's branding, be they revealing new cards for sets, helping with commentary at events, or just generally keeping people engaged in the game that they all play together. Wizards of the Coast.
So I'm not gonna rage about MBT bringing up Magic, chat specifically because I feel like if you're going to like cross reference this or if you're going to give examples, you have to mention other card games, right? I didn't know this, and this is a legitimate point. Konami doesn't. I mean, even recently, chat, Konami has just started dipping its toes into having content creators have any type of influence over events, chat. Like having Tombox commentate, having Farfa. Like this is something that's only a couple of years old, chat. You guys remember for like a decade, Konami basically just ignored Yugi-tubers. You could not record at venues at all. Like they didn't acknowledge Yugi-tubers at all. And then when you're talking about players, same thing basically. It's like, all right, these are the 2 or 3 approved Konami ex-pros who quit the game, 10 years ago or whatever and are super washed and don't play. But like active players, like they didn't do very much. So it's interesting to see Wizards of the Coast do that because it kind of sounds like Wizards of the Coast, chat, like what Konami does with Yugi-tubers, like here DZ, here Farfa, open a box of new product. They do that with their big players. You know what I mean? No streams. The closest they get to hiring is Billy Breaker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, BP. Is like Konami, the pros that they have, like these are all pros from like that haven't played the game in like 10 years ago, or haven't played the game in like 10 years, then yeah. It's like, all right, we'll hire some ex-pros, but not anyone really like active. You know what I mean? We're not going to put Jesse Cotton on the payroll, or Joshua Smith.
Does a fair amount for its pro players. Now,
wasn't Sam kicked out for recording? I don't remember specifically if it was Sam, Dark Emperor, but I do know Yugi-tubers have been kicked out of events for recording. Yeah, there was that time where, yeah, Yugi-tubers would get kicked out of events. That's why I never even bothered like trying to record. It's like, you can't. It's not even worth the fight.
Now, before I get too many Magic heads in the comments telling me that actually the pros are treated very poorly at Wizards of the Coast too, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I don't know about all of you, but as a child, I thought that a dream job would be making a living off of the winnings from card game tournaments.
Oh,
and
God.
Even though Wizards of the Coast does provide winnings to individuals who make top cut at their events, certainly it's not enough to pay the bills. That's in direct contrast to Yu-Gi-Oh!, where currently, if you do well at an event, you get almost nothing. Jess talks a lot about this in her video, but she punched her ticket last year to the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, meaning she was recognized.
No, I don't think that's a weird dream at all. Check. I don't think that's a weird dream. Like, look, I know that you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I started playing this game, chat, when I was the same age as the characters in the anime. Like, what could have been better than like me playing my little relinquished deck and like, oh, I graduated high school, I could just be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. Like that, I think that's a pretty legitimate dream. Now, I didn't know, I mean, yeah, that sells a dream. I didn't know that Magic players don't make enough money to be professional Magic players. I was always under the impression that they can, so that's kind of news to me. For Yu-Gi-Oh!, it is 100% not a possibility, chat. You cannot just be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. Like, you would have to literally win every single YCS of the year, chat, to have any hope. And I'm talking about not with content creation or Patreon or streaming or anything like that, or brand deals. Like, you'd have to win every single YCS and sell everything that you want. You probably still couldn't do it. If you won 12 YCSs in a year, chat, that wouldn't be enough money to, I don't know, maybe if you lived in a studio apartment or something.
Top players in the world at the card game we all know and love.
Did you mention when Konami gave out laptops and iPads as prizes instead of what? Get rid of that. I did not. Honestly, Dark Emperor, I kind of forgot.
After wiping the floor with most Europeans, she went to the World Championship and wiped the floor with more individuals, getting a top 8 finish at the literal most prestigious tournament in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. And what did she get for doing so?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. She literally got nothing.
Yeah,
in the video, she says she walked out empty-handed.
I didn't know that.
This prizing scheme has been replicated time and time again in Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's truly frustrating. Did well at a local tournament? You're probably receiving your prizing in packs. No big deal, it's just locals. Did well at a regional? Well, I hope you enjoy a rubber mat and a deck box, because that is what you're getting. Now that you've done well at a regional, you're headed to the national tournament where you can compete for another rubber mat and a deck box. Sure, Wizards of the Coast isn't super generous with their prize pool, but in Yu-Gi-Oh, the prize pool is non-existent. Usually individuals are fighting over a rubber mat and occasionally a Nintendo Switch, a 7-year-old console at this point. Now, I understand why a lot of people don't see a particular problem with this setup. It's one of the reasons why it's been widely reported that Kazuki Takahashi said something to the effect of he didn't want money coming into Yu-Gi-Oh because it would make it feel like seedy gambling in a basement somewhere. With the understanding that you can't play cards for a living wage, why would you even put money in the pot anyway? Just give people the clout of winning, which they can then translate into something sustainable by making videos about their deck profiles or something. But honestly, this is just completely at odds with the reality of modern cardboard. Decks like Snake Eye Fiendsmith are creeping into the $2,000 range. If it costs an arm and a leg just to compete, shouldn't you get some sort of return on investment if you're willing to put in the effort to actually do well? And as for seedy gambling, card games have just been normalized to the point where I don't think that's realistic. Lorcana, the game in which you cast Disney characters and sing songs together, gives out 5 digits of prizing to people for making top 64 at some events. As a result,
That's crazy. Why not give out PS5s? I mean, that would be more, that would be the natural move, is just whatever the most recent console. Like, even if, as long as there is supply, chat, let's say the PS6 came out next year, I would expect for them to be able to give out PS6s. Like, oh, it's $500. Who cares? $1 billion company. Like, you know what I mean? No play for the love of the game. Just stop being poor, Gecko W. I talk about this in my video as well, chat. The large gap between Lorcana and like One Piece and stuff. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that Lorcana and One Piece have such insane pricing just because they're brand new games and you kind of have to like get off the ground? You know what I mean? I'm not even going to go into the whole like they're backed by these gigantic companies. But part of it is, chat, like you do have to kind of go all out in your first few years because you have to like cultivate that audience. Like you need the Yu-Gi-Oh players to come over. You need some people from Magic to come over. And if you're prized, because yeah, chat, they give out, it's kind of ridiculous. They give out prizes, chat, to twice as many people that get prizes that way. Like they do top 64 prizing for events that are like half the size of ours. They say like, oh, if there's 1,000 people, we give out prizes to like top 64. That's kind of crazy, chat. Man, Konami is really lucky, chat, that so many of us, like myself, are just lifelong invested. You know what I mean? Like I'm too invested in Yu-Gi-Oh at this point to like move to a different card game. It doesn't even make sense. My entire brand, my entire existence has been about this card game, chat. A little bit about Pokemon, but not nowhere near to this extent. But if I was like 21 years old, I'd be like, yo, peace the fuck. If I was like super young, chat, like, oh, I've only been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for like a year, like, I'm gonna go play my Elsa deck in Lorcana. You know what I mean? So, anyways.
A little incentive to push yourself as a pro player. Yes, you can stoke your own fires of self-determination, but the hours that you spend practicing the game are going to come at the realistic cost of your ability to hold down a job, relationships. To put in the effort necessary to be really good at this game, you have to make sacrifices somewhere. And when those sacrifices come at the benefit of quite literally no money whatsoever, it can be hard to say yes to it. The second reason that a lot of people are taking a break at present is because the format is really bad So if you haven't been following the last couple of months of Yu-Gi-Oh!, here's a quick explainer. There's a singular deck, Fiendsmith Snake Eye, that's head and shoulders better than anything else. It isn't so dominant that it's risen to the level of Tier 0, but it is extremely powerful. The other decks in the format are still playable, things like Tenpai and Yubel and Ritual Beast and Gimmick Puppet, but largely the non-Fiendsmith Snake Eye decks are not really playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Per se. Tenpai is a deck that benefits off of the fact that going second has been so bad for so long. Konami has printed some truly outsized going second tools. They get to load up on Raigekis, Dark Holes, Lightning Storms, and of course really powerful lingering effect hand traps like Mulcharmy and Dimension Shifter. Ritual Beast is another shifter deck that has also benefited from the recent and baffling unban of both Thunder Dragon Colossus in some corner cases, but mostly Arch Nemesis Protoss, which can call fire and win the game on turn 0.
I still think that's such an ironic. Is that not ironic, Chad?
Arch Nemesis Protoss.
I find that to be the epitome of irony and just honestly hilarious that we were so afraid of these two cards being unbanned, and then what deck actually can play them? Ritual Beast? Really? That's the deck that's gonna, because I mean people were like, yo, Thunder Dragons might be, I was like, I already know that's cope. The Thunder Dragon cards are so power crap, Chad. Like you have to throw in like 10 engines to get them to be good. But I find that to just be so funny and ironic. It's like the one deck that can actually play these cards is Ritual Beast of all things. Like I just found that funny. No one was afraid of Colossus. There's people that were like, nah, Colossus is a floodgate, it's bad for the game, blah blah blah. Like, you'll find people that will complain about this card.
Toss, which can call fire and win the game on turn 0. Gimmick Puppet FTK is just an FTK. Yeah, there's like a legal FTK with tops at the YCS level this format. Why are we all okay with this? A lot of people are quick to blame the problems of this format on Fiendsmith Snake Eye, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I feel like it's the only deck in the format actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's incredibly expensive, incredibly challenging, and the time that you spend learning the deck can be completely nullified by a tournament run in which an opponent just opens Shifter on you a whole bunch of times. Jess expresses frustration in the video with the state of things. She talks pretty directly about how the big names in the community, individuals who were consistently placing at events, really didn't at the last couple. That's because the way the format is structured, Fiendsmith Snake Eye is extremely powerful and extremely complicated. But the things that beat the strategy, things like Dimension Shifter, aren't too difficult to figure out how to use optimally. As a result, individuals spend a lot of time in this format preparing for scenarios that are never going to happen, because unfortunately, frequently you're going to sit across the table from your opponent, get outdrawn, and lose on turn 0 to an effect that your opponent activated at the first possible opportunity. It's a weird scenario insofar as the best deck in the room requires a lot of skill to pilot effectively, but every other deck in the room requires almost no skill, just the ability to outdraw your opponent.
Yes.
Unlike other formats, including some Tier 0 formats that I've been particularly outspoken about, the people who are doing well this format are largely professional players that are extremely skilled, but also individuals who have completely missed people who are one lottery ticket away from $1 million, opening Mulcharmy Shifter every Game 3. These two huge problems have coalesced into a kind of crisis. Professional players are feeling like their investment isn't being returned, both in terms of time, where their run can be stopped by an...
I disagree with Snake Eyes being hard to play. Optimally, I don't know, man. When I was watching the NAW, not so much the European Championship chat, when I was watching the NAWCQ, don't you guys agree? There was when they were in Swiss chat, the NA players were making Snake Eye look so fucking bad. Like there were some bad Snake Eye, and I'm not saying that in the sense that it's hard to play. I'm saying that in like the sense that these are easily the Snake Eye players that are like top in regionals and stuff. It's like, bro, you're not good at all. You're just playing a deck that's really powerful. And maybe what's it called? And they still want. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I wasn't impressed by most of the Snake Eye play that I saw in North America until they got to like, oh, Kamal Crooks and Aditya. Like, once they got to like the top cut, then it's like, all right, I'm starting to see the difference. But I don't know. It didn't convince me that the deck was like super hard to play or anything like that. Playing through hand traps isn't easy. I guess. I feel like I've heard that. I feel like I've heard that argument. I hear that argument every format where people just say playing through interaction is hard. Like, I guess. I don't know. They had so many misplays. The deck has a high ceiling, but the floor of the deck is higher than the other deck ceilings. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like if you get hand trapped twice and you still end on a board that beats you up, like, I don't think that's that skillful, to be honest. Like, oh, my Black Witch got Veilered. It's not really much to think about after that. It's like, all right, can I push on or can I not push on? If I can't push on, I pass and lose.
Individual who is way less practiced than they are, and in terms of money, where they're investing a ton of cash into cardboard that isn't being reciprocated at all. As I've said in previous videos, this is in the face of a bunch of nascent card games that are promising a return on investment. I've been to bat for Illustrials a couple of times because I think it's fun.
Oh my god, the Illustrials glazing for me.
But it's hardly the only game in town. Lorcana has already attracted a significant amount of Yu-Gi-Oh's best. Christian Uranus posting about the Bucky Band.
Yes, these are legitimate card games. When you okay, I have to bring this up. When you talk about Lorcana and One Piece, like those are legitimate, not fucking Illustrials, chat. Like I don't even understand why this random Illustrials part was in there. No one's like, other than Yu-Gi tubers who are being paid, no one's quitting fucking Yu-Gi-Oh for Illustrials. Period. Point blank. That's why they have 20-person tournaments at YCSs, which are 10 times smaller than the fucking Edison format tournaments, chat. But if you want to say people are quitting Yu-Gi-Oh because of One Piece and Lorcana, like, okay, I hear that. But, like, bro, don't even fucking bring up Illustrials. Like, stop trying to legitimize this game that's, like, not legitimate. Please. The video is an ad. A-Drive is going to be... I don't really care.
And Dinka Pham can't go 5 minutes without talking about what song he's going to sing. And at base, I kind of can't blame him. I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I think it is the literal best game in the world. But that doesn't mean that I don't spend some time at locals looking over at the tables of people playing One Piece and having a great time and thinking, is it that much better than its competitors? Is it worth putting up with the company that cares this little about the people playing the game?
No.
Just for like a 2%?
No, the only reason it's better, press one, chat, is because of nostalgia. Because Konami has their hooks in us too deep. That's it. Oh my god. It's like being a drug addict who just can't quit. You know what I mean? Like Konami has emotion. They have emotional ties to me, chat. That's like equivalent to like family. You know what I mean? You can't like quit your family. It doesn't matter how big of an argument you got into. You guys remember, chat? Me and my brother didn't talk for an entire fucking year. You guys remember that, chat? Me and Ramsey literally didn't talk for an entire year. Now we talk almost every other day. Like family is just like eternal, basically. Konami group, yeah. For me, chat. And I've heard some of the people in Toxic Fable say like, "Oh, I played Yu-Gi-Oh for half my life." I mean, that's me too. Like I played Yu-Gi-Oh since I was 17. I'm 38 now. Oh, 16. I played Yu-Gi-Oh since I was 16, chat. I'm 38 now. Like, what's it called? Did you have sex with my brother? No, we don't do that here. You decided you decided that not Ramsey, though.
And better play experience? And am I willing to sit through enough rounds of Shifter Molcharmy to make up that difference? So with that all out of the way, let's talk about some potential solutions to this problem. First, let's talk about the prizing. This one's easy, just give us prizing. I know, Kazuki Takahashi didn't want the game to include money as a form of prizing, but like there's other stuff you can do. For a very short period of time after events returned post-COVID, people were getting Starlight sheets from the prize wall.
Sheesh.
How hard is that to give out to top performers? Sure, there is an additional transaction involved where you have to contact someone on the secondary market who's looking, but those were going for like $20,000. Like that seems like a reasonable amount of money to win for like performing at the national tournament. In fact, the prize wall for side events is actually a pretty good indication of how you could actually reward people without just handing them cash. Why are giant cards not a consideration for main event? Why don't we have special...
I didn't even think about this, but he's kind of right, chat. If you ever go to nationals, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals, you'll realize very quickly that those insane prizes exist. They're just not given out to main event at all. They only, like, you can only win them at side event, which is why playing at side, you make infinitely more money playing at the side event at nationals than you do playing in the main event. I used to hear that and always think it was stupid because Akinocism used to say that, and then I went to one and I was like, no, he's actually right. You can just go to Nats and turn a price. Yeah, you can. Akino used to say that, chat, in this very stream years ago, and I never believed him. And then I went to Nats a couple of years ago in Chicago, and I was like, he's actually right. Hold on. Can you guys hear that or no? I want to see if you guys can hear that. That's probably a fire engine. It's either a fire engine or it's an ambulance. When I lived in Charlotte, chat, I almost never heard fire trucks or paramedics. Almost never. You guys know how much I hear them now living in New Orleans? I hear them, I would say, at least 6 times a day. At least 6 times a day, chat, I either hear or see an ambulance outside or a fire truck. Probably about 6-7 times a day, chat. Like, it's crazy. And I'm just wondering, like, bro, is it that many people getting shot or what? Because this city don't have a population that size where you would think I would hear a fire truck or an ambulance. Like, I hear it probably every other hour, chat. That cops coming for, I mean, that was the fire truck. Yeah, so what's it called? I hear them pretty often here, like 1 to 2 times a day, living it. I don't live in the ghetto, though. I don't even live in it. I live 2 miles from, like, this Superdome, chat. Yeah, I live, like, 2 miles from the Superdome.
Prize cards tailored to event anymore. Hell, One Piece is doing this better than we are, and they've been making a card game for 6 months tops. Not to repeat Jess's example, but the fact that an individual can be recognized as one of the top 8 players on the entire planet and walk out of a tournament with nothing is embarrassing. And secondly, with respect to the format, there's no easy way out of this. Again, a lot of people want to put the blame on Snake Eyes and say, oh, well, Fiendsmith Snakes is so unbelievably powerful that we have to resort to these lingering hand traps that win the game for us with no input. Picard?
I mean, with all due respect, that's like kind of true. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing this argument of like, well, that deck's trying to play, bruh. Why was Floowandereeze able to compete against Tearlament, chat? In Tearlament, why was Floowandereeze literally the only deck that had even a snowball's chance in hell? I'll give you a quick hint. Dimensional Shifter, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. That's why. 2 cards. That's why. Shifter, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Because you could go first and open Statue and just win a game on the spot. Or you could Shifter. And if you didn't have those cards, it didn't matter how much Yu-Gi-Oh! You won to play. Tearlament was going to pretty much kick your ass. So, yeah.
Cards like Shifter are going to be good if Fiendsmith is in the format or not. It doesn't take a genius to recognize that if you ban some of the cards out of the top deck, the next 6 or 7 best performing decks are still going to load up on tools like Evenly Matched. I think what needs to happen is on this upcoming ban list, instead of just hitting cards for power reasons, there needs to be a deliberate design philosophy behind it. I've talked about this a great deal.
I think this is Persona music. Yeah, I'm like 90% certain, chat, this is music from Persona 4, by the way. Persona 5.
Reasons, there needs to be a deliberate design philosophy behind it. I've talked about this a great deal on some of my ban list videos, but it's frustrating that it seems like
hold on. It's Shin Megami Tensei? Is it? Okay. Yeah, I'm like this sounds like Persona music.
Ban list, there's no through line as to what Konami wants Yu-Gi-Oh! To look like. Make a decision. Do you want lingering effects that are hard to track and require no skill whatsoever to activate to dominate? Do you want insanely complicated nuclear fusion style combos to reign supreme? Or do you want some
Oh my god. MBT is actually making the bear argument, chat. Holy shit. So this is what Bear said in Toxic Fable, chat. Bear basically said Konami needs to stop sitting on the fence, and that they either need to like decide, do you want Yu-Gi-Oh! To be like these lingering floodgates, or do you want it to be these, what MBT just said, these super atomic 5,000 IQ combo decks? I'm sorry, chat. You guys, I'd rather just have the fucking floodgates, bro. I'm not making. Oh, okay. You're saying he made that argument because he watched it. I thought he just made the argument separate from. I'm like, that's insane that they both came to that conclusion, because I just don't think it's fun when my opponent's turns take 15 minutes and my turns take 3. I mean, a Vanquish Soul turn probably, Stake Your Soul Reveal, Ash, Summon Raisin Search Burger. I don't know, tag out for Burger, reveal, draw, link into rock, add Burger back, set 2. It's like a 3-minute turn. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think 15-minute turns are just unfun, no matter what you're doing. I don't care how complicated your turn is. It's just not fun. Why can't we have both? 7-minute with interaction.
secret third thing, a place where those lingering hand traps aren't specifically available to every deck, a place where there are a myriad of decks with different playstyles, none of which feel frustrating to play against. I lived through AGOV format. I know you can do it. At this point, unfortunately, curating a ban list so that such a format arises would require like upwards of 70 hits. I'm not just talking about like taking...
I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know how to respond to that. You gotta have 70 hits to make a good format, chat. We gotta have 70 hits to make a good format. Is that MVT just said like those lingering floodgates are not accessible to every deck, but I thought that was the whole point with Shifter, chat, is like you have to play Shifter in specific decks that aren't really hurt by them. Otherwise, Shifter will hurt. There's a reason why Snake Eye doesn't play Shifter, chat. You can't play Shifter in every deck. You know, when you talk about the new Malcharmy cards, like you can complain about them all you want, but you can't play them going first. Wasn't that the whole... Can I just get this off my chest, chat? Is it way too early to complain about Malcharmy cards or not? Like, can we, because if we're going to complain about the new Malcharmy cards, then I feel like I just don't even want to be part of this community anymore. Like, seriously. I thought everyone collectively was like, these cards are healthy for the game. They can't be used going first, or when you go first, which was everyone's problem with Max C, chat. That was, for years, I was told that was the problem with Max C. It's not going second, Cap. It's when your opponent makes a combo board and then Max C's you. That's the problem. Like, cool. You can't do that with these cards at all. But now people are telling me there's still a problem. That's all of it. Oh, okay then, BP. Then why are people now complaining about the new watered down Max C's? Why are these cards problematic now? Like, is everything problematic? Because I thought everyone was like, yeah, these cards are fair. These are balanced Max C's. And then we actually got to play with them, and then people are like, no, they're not balanced. They're problematic. They ruin the game. Cool. Like, I don't fucking know, bro. I don't fucking know.
Taking Flamberge out to pasture and putting Shifter to 1. Like, you probably have to ban everything up to and including deck lockdown. Regardless, I think this is sort of a come-to-Jesus moment
card
for
also
Konami.
flops.
I don't think the current direction of the card game is going to kill it, but it's going to take the individuals who are responsible for the most thought being put into the game, the professional players that largely dictate how the game is played even at a local level just by disseminating lists and information, to become disinterested. And if that happens, the game is absolutely going to suffer. I think it's worth doing what we can to reward the people who are performing. Otherwise, they're all just going to have to start YouTube channels to put food on the table. Or edit for another YouTuber.
I made Top Cut at Euros, and all I have to show for it is this fucking mat.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This was incredibly unexpected, and I liked it. Also, sick mustache, by the way, from Vlad. Is that yes? This is Gecko, actually. This is Gecko. Yeah. Shout outs to Vladis.
Cool.
This video has been brought to you by Top 64.
What did that say?
Cool.
I made more money from editing this video than than my Euro prize. I mean, that's the sad truth, chat, but it shouldn't be. And this is coming from someone who, you know, I bought a house, chat, strictly off the money that I made in 2015 Yugi tubing. I mean, that was like what, shitty replay arc mixed in with like top 10s. I used just that money, chat, to buy a house in Charlotte. No other money at all. And like the fact that content creation far outseeds the money that you can win competitively in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be that way. And you can say, oh, just get a job. You know what I mean? Like, no one's saying that they don't want to, or that they're unwilling to work jobs. But if you're top 0.1% at Yu-Gi-Oh!, you should be able to make a living off that, chat. You know what I mean? Christian Urena wins back-to-back YCSs. That's something that's been done 3 times in this game's history, chat. Maybe I think 3 or 4 times in 22 years of the TCG has that happened where someone won back-to-back YCSs. He probably went even or went neg. I'm not talking about sponsorships, but like going to, I don't know where Urena lives, but the money that he spent to go to like Mexico and stuff, like he probably just broke even, bro. After selling all that stuff, he probably went straight to Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market chat to sell the card for like $400 or something like that. Your Nintendo Switch, maybe you can get $200 from that. Like, I don't even know. That's probably covering, what's it called? He lives in Philly. Okay, well then if he's flying from Philly to Mexico, I mean, that has to be at least a $600 plane ticket. And then if you spend another $300 on an Airbnb, again, these are probably lowball price. You're spending like $1,000. Like, do you win $1,000 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pricing chat after selling everything? I would argue probably not, but maybe. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of embarrassing, chat. It's not, you're not even not getting $200 for a, well, again, like that's embarrassing that you get a Nintendo Switch and, you know, maybe if you're lucky, you can sell it on eBay for a couple $100. Like Vlad says, I made more money editing this for MBT than I won at Euros.
This video has been brought to you by top 64 EUWCQ competitor Vladis. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I would say, chat, that I agreed with MBT's video more than Jess's, to be honest. And you know, I have no issue with Jess and like her quitting the game, but Jess's it felt a little more like whiny. that's like a little bit of the I understand why she could, but it just felt like, I don't know, if plants can't be good, then fuck Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, just like a little bit. Shifter ending careers, bro, just deal with it. Like, I think Phobic just said a couple minutes ago, Shifter was in a God format and nobody had a problem with it. You know what I mean? And I don't remember I don't remember Shifter being like very dominant in that format, chat. It was good, but it wasn't like, oh my god, auto win. So Urena made more money 2-0ing LeBlanc in a random money. Yeah, like that's definitely more. I'd rather take $500 cold hard cash, chat, than whatever the hell you get for winning a YCS. Because all the stuff you get from a YCS minus the trophy, like you just have to resell it. You have to either try to sell it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market, or, I mean, you're not really going to be able to sell it to people. Maybe you can sell the card at the venue, but even that's unlikely because by the time you get the card, almost everybody's gone. You know what I mean? Like, you have to try to set up backroom deals and stuff like that. You know? Sour grapes make